about business, and today we're going to be talking about trees. And I know that might not make sense at first, but hang with me here. When we see the word growth in the business world, we often think of like diagrams that show, you know, a line that's going in an upward trajectory. We've got this vertical ascent in some way. But I bet that you, as a small business owner, know that growth doesn't always look like a vertical line. If we're honest, sometimes growth doesn't even look vertical at all. There's so many different ways to grow our businesses, vertically, horizontally, combinations of them that might result in spirals. And I started really thinking about this a couple of weeks ago when I had the most amazing opportunity to visit a tree. And it's called Angel Oak Tree. This tree is over 500 years old. And I got to visit and commune with this tree. And I was just looking at the amazing shapes that this tree created. It was sprawling and huge. And it got me thinking about business and growth and what we might be able to learn from trees. And so that's what we're going to focus in on today. I'm going to be sharing 5 lessons about what we can learn from trees and how growth occurs in our businesses. And so I really hope that you enjoy this topic today. It looks like Bjorn is already down for the count. He'll have to catch the recap later on. So if you are watching live, tell me, let me know where you're tuning in from, and I'd love to know what's your favorite tree. Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color? All right. And if you are watching this on the replay, know that I love to come back and have conversations with you. So jump on in just like it's live. And, I will be back to see what you have to say. And I hope that you all enjoy this. It's going to be a really fun conversation today. Before we get started, let's play a little music. Here we go. Okay, so here we are. I have so much to share with you all today in terms of, storytelling and metaphors and all that kind of goodness. And I want to start by saying hello. If you're new here, my name is Sara Campbell, and I am a business strategist, mindset, and marketing coach for music studio owners and online education experts just like you. And I go live here every Wednesday, where I'm going live in all the places. So hello if you're on Facebook. Hello if you're on YouTube. Hey there, Instagram. If you do want to see the fancy stuff on the screen, hop on over to Savvy Music Studio on one of those channels. And I'm excited to have this conversation because it's been a while since I've focused the broadcast on metaphor, and I was just really feeling it. Let me give you a little background. Before I get to the background, let me give you a quick housekeeping here. Housekeeping is this. All right. If you are watching this live or on the replay, I'd love for you to share, like, what are the takeaways that you are going to walk away with from this conversation. So give us a hashtag takeaway and share those down below. I love to hear what is valuable to you, and I love for other people to hear what is valuable to each other. It's just great to have a conversation with you. If you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. Just want to shout out, like, we just passed 600 subscribers a couple of weeks ago, and that felt like a milestone. So thanks for subscribing and watching, y'all. I do have the Savvy Sara bot set up as always. And if you drop the word tree down below, she will reach out to you. We're going to double check and make sure that all of the tools are enabled. I believe they are. Works with all posts, enabled. Yes. So if you drop the word tree down below, you will get the show notes from today. And I actually think, and I'd love for somebody to test this out, if you use a tree emoji, she should send you a message. I haven't tried that out in a while, but I'm pretty sure if you use the tree emoji, she's going to send you something. Let's see if it works. All right. So let's get to it, y'all. I want to give you a little bit of background about why I'm talking about this. So quick story here. Um, I love being outside. And, this is something that has been instilled in me since I was a kid. My parents are big outdoors people as well. I was raised as a Girl Scout. We did, a lot of our family vacations were in the Smoky Mountains where we would go camping. And I just feel a great connection to being outdoors. And being a Capricorn, I'm also an earth sign. So there's that. But I love trees, and it's something that my mom has instilled in me, especially. She likes to go hug trees. My mom is a tree hugger. It's true. Um, and I had the opportunity to go down to Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, a couple of weeks ago to go to a fabulous conference that was given by the Speakeasy Cooperative. And I discovered from one of my clients when I mentioned that I was going to be down in the Mount Pleasant area, she said, "Oh, are you going to go see Angel Oak Tree?" And I said, I wasn't going to, but now I'm intrigued, and I think the answer is yes. And she told me about it's a tree that's about 400 or 500 years old. They're not exactly sure. It's this most amazing tree I've ever seen in my life, and it was only about a 25-minute drive for us. So Michelle Marquardt DeVoe and Kristen Coffey Rondo and I hopped in a car and we drove to see this tree, and it was an experience. And it was unlike any other tree that I've ever seen. And when you think of an old tree, you think, okay, it's going to be big and round, right? It's going to have a big trunk. It's probably going to be really tall. But this tree was quite unique. It wasn't what I expected. What was unique about this tree is the way in which it has grown over the years. And we're not talking about like a super tall tree. We're talking about a tree that's, I believe, 66 feet high. But the branches that grew out of this tree were astounding. And it really got me thinking about, what does growth look like? Growth is not just straight up. There are so many different ways to grow. And how can we as business owners learn from trees about growth? And so I started hitting the Googles. And I was reading a lot of blogs. I mean, this is a pretty popular metaphor in the business world. And so I was reading a lot of blogs about growth and what we can learn from trees. And I found 5 things that I wanted to share with you this week. So I'm really excited to share these things. I see we've got some trees popping up in the comments, and hopefully the Savvy Sarah bot has sent you some things. Ooh, Heather put a Christmas tree. Heather, I forgot to put the Christmas tree as one of the emojis, so I'm going to have to amend that. So if she doesn't send you anything, you may need to pop a deciduous tree or a coniferous tree in there. And I see Deborah is saying, yeah, Secco Live 2022. It was fabulous. I love, Laura gave us her favorite tree. She said her favorite tree is a Japanese maple. They look awesome this time in Ontario. Absolutely. They're so beautiful. Heather Nelson, good morning. She's making rehearsal tracks. Nice to see you. And Karen says hello to Bjorn. He is all balled up and ready to sleep. It's time for fall. Hey there, Pete. I see him waving. Okay, great. So let's get to the things that we're going to discuss today. I have 5 different, let me get this out of the way here. Okay, I have 5 different lessons that I'd like to discuss. So what can we learn from trees? I found this aspect to be fascinating because we're thinking about, what do we learn even before a tree becomes a tree? Not every seed will grow everywhere. Now, at the angel oak tree, one of the interesting things is that, of course, this big oak tree, there's all these acorns that are coming down. And there was an acorn that in 2018, it planted itself and it started to grow. And the people who take care of this tree dug up that small little seedling and put it into a container. And now that container sits below the angel oak tree and it has a little sign on it. Talking about how, treat this big tree well so that, it can see me grow up. And I just thought that was so cute. All right. Side note. Okay. enough with the stories. But I love this idea of this lesson being that we need to know what conditions are necessary for our business to grow. You would not plant a palm tree in Alaska, right? And there are things that we need to consider when we are establishing a business, or if we are looking at some issues in our business, and maybe growth is slow, or maybe it's non-existent. We need to be aware that not every seed will grow everywhere. We need conditions to be right. They don't need to be perfect. Trees are resilient, just like businesses, and they can grow in a lot of climates that might not be 100% perfect for them. But we do need to think about if we're experiencing something that where our business is stalled, or we're having a hard time. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like get up and move your business, move your tree. There might be some conditions that you can change. There might be some things, or it might be to dig up that seedling and find a better condition, find a place that has a better condition. So I love that idea. Not every seed will grow everywhere. That's the first thing that I read that really resonated with me. Let's move on to our second one here. I love it. Keep it coming. Karen is sharing like what her favorite trees are. My favorite tree is the angel oak tree now, but and if anybody is interested in checking this out, if you do Google angel oak tree, she has a website, as all good trees do. And you can learn a bit about that tree and see some of the images. I did send out a couple this week in the email list. If you're not on the email list and you're interested in getting our emails each week, drop the word email down below, and I'll make sure to reach out to you and get the information for that. So that's our first lesson. The second lesson is this: establish firm roots. Okay, so what are the takeaways here? We really want to make sure that as business owners, we are feeding our main offer, and we are establishing, our missions, our key messages, our visions. These are things we all talked about at Seco Live, so that our roots can grow. Because if we don't have firm roots, then our businesses cannot withstand a storm. The roots are going to be what anchors us and what allows us to grow. And, this could be in a couple of things come to mind. One, we think about some plants that have what they call a tap root, a large main root that really supports the plant. I like to think of the tap root as your main offer. So many of us as business owners, we have multiple services, we have multiple offers, we have multiple products, and that can be great. But we need to make sure that we are consistently feeding our main offers so that other areas of our business can thrive. So I like to think of that taproot. I also like to think about the fact that many trees, they will actually intertwine their roots with other trees around them so that they can get more support, because they recognize that they are stronger by intertwining and having like this foundation where they are supporting one another. So that reminds me, and this is something that I have this conversation with lots of clients. Who are you partnering up with? What are the businesses that support you, and that you can support? We think about, oftentimes people come to me with questions about marketing, or just in general, like, I need to get more clients, and I ask myself, okay, well, I ask them, what's your network look like? Immediately, when people ask me questions about marketing, they think that the answers are going to be, okay, well, here's what you can do on Instagram, or here's what you can do on Facebook. And yeah, social media marketing and like online marketing in general can be really useful for a business. However, if you're not creating some kind of a network that can support you and, learning to intertwine your roots, we're missing out on a huge opportunity. And this is something that I'm going to be really focused on in the coming year, is making sure that I'm reaching out to the people that are in my sphere. Like for me, it's as an online business, is going to be an online thing, but it is networking. I consider what I do like reaching out to podcasters or reaching out to other business coaches. I think of this as local networking. It's not something that I really consider as online because I am reaching out and having conversations with people. So that's what I really took away from this idea of establishing firm roots, establishing your tap root, making sure that we are feeding the main offers, that we're clear on our missions, our visions, our messages, all of those beautiful things. Oh, this is a great, look at this metaphor. Like the root of a chord, it gives the notes their identity and establishes tonality. Ooh, Karen, you get the comment of the day. I don't think we can top that. That's gorgeous. Can we get a little round of applause for that that little comment there? Because that's fantastic stuff there, Karen. Beautiful. All right, so let's move to our our third point here. I love it, Pete. Okay, all the good comments today. You're not just talking about business, but also my marriage, my family, my kids. Yeah, we can learn so much from trees if we just take a moment to stop and listen and hug them. All right, the third thing that I wanted to talk about was growing up and then growing out. Trees are smart about this. Although I have to say that the angel oak tree, she's not very tall. She's got the widest reach that I've ever seen, though. The canopy is just massive, and I can't remember exactly how big the canopy is, but it just blew my mind. So growing up and then growing out. So like kind of circling back to this idea of feeding the main offer and making sure that all of those things are really firm and established, right? Once we have our roots established and we're very clear on everything that we want to happen in our business, then we can start focusing on growing a really strong base, growing the strong trunk of the tree. And in my mind, again, that circles back to what is the main offer in your business? Make sure that that is healthy and that you're getting enough clients in on that offer so that you have the revenue necessary to feed other areas of your business. If we neglect to do this and we start trying to branch out in too many different areas, I see this quite frequently. By the way, I see this with people who come to me with questions about, launching new products, launching new services. If the main offer is not healthy, okay, if that main offer is not healthy, if the trunk of the tree is not healthy, shooting out a big branch is not going to help because it's going to topple the business. So we need to make sure that that base is healthy in order for us to start to grow our branches. This it builds on one of the things that Michelle Marquardt DeVoe talks about in our How to Run Your Business Without Hating Your Boss course inside of SECO. We talk about the idea of a stool, like the top being the main offer and then the legs being the supports underneath. So all the analogies today. So grow up and then out. All right, we've got 2 more to go through today. I'd love to know what has resonated most with you so far. And then at the end, we'll do a rapid recap here. This is one of my favorite ones. What else can we learn? Trees change with the season, right? And a business will not always remain the same the entire time that it's open. And if it does, it's probably going to be pretty boring. We think about the seasons that trees go through, right? In the springtime, it releases buds. This is, now I'm not saying that every spring this is when you should do your research and development, but, finding there will be a season in your business where you are doing research, you're developing new offers, and you're releasing new products. It's a spring, right? So you're putting a lot of energy into growing leaves, into growing branches. In the summertime, right? In the summertime, there's crazy growth because the conditions are right. There's enough sunlight, there's enough warmth, there's enough water. And so there will be seasons in your business where you are growing like crazy because it's summer. There will be seasons when you are preparing for winter and the leaves fall. You may need to, there may be times in your business where you have to scale back. prudently, right? That you're doing it on purpose and you're cutting and pruning for a new growth season. I'm thinking of examples of this. If you put out different offers and maybe an offer didn't resonate, didn't work, it might be time to trim that branch. Maybe you're not cutting it off completely, but maybe you're trimming, some of the smaller branches that aren't working out too well, so that main branch, so that additional branch has more energy to grow. So it could be also just taking off a limb that's unhealthy. That was one of the fascinating things about the angel oak tree, is that there were many limbs that were missing. They are very intentional about giving that giving that tree the care that it needs, so that big bad things don't happen to it. So it's interesting. So changing the change of the seasons, when the leaves fall, there might be some scaling back. And you know what? I'm going to back up a second. So really what I was talking about there was winter, right? Like the leaves have fallen and you've prepared for winter and you're scaling back. I skipped over really what fall is. Fall is when the colors change. And I know you probably can't see behind me because that window's too bright, but I have the most brilliant yellow tree in the backyard. And this is my favorite time of year. I want to take some pictures of her today. In fall, the change of the leaves, it's similar to changing with the trends, and knowing that when trends change, that you can change too, and that you can benefit from that shift because you are changing with the times. Okay, final point here. I love this. Oh, let's bring this up. Okay, Pete says next spring is going to be awesome. I love that. I hear you. Karen says, I wish Facebook would stop changing with the seasons. They're changing things for the sake of change in revenue and not for our benefit. But let's be clear, Karen, Facebook's a business and they're here to make money. And they are not charging us to use their platform. And that's whenever I get frustrated about this, I keep telling myself, this is free. All right. So final point here about what we can learn from trees. We can learn patience and patterns. Growth does not happen overnight. And sometimes the strategies and tactics that we use to grow our offers, to market our offers, they may take time. So we need to be patient and know that, when we are starting a new marketing plan or launching a new offer, there will be a growth period. And there will be things that we learn during that growth period, what works well, what doesn't work well. Being patient is key. And also, in looking for that patience, one of the things that we can examine is the patterns. If we think about the rings inside of a tree, now I'm not suggesting that you cut your tree down, just to be clear. When we examine the rings inside of a tree, the years that were good will have this nice big ring. And the years that were not so good, we're going to have a skinnier ring. And so we can look at the patterns and examine, where did the growth happen? Where did the scale backs occur? And then ask us the questions, what was it that caused this scale back? What were the conditions that year? And make better choices for the next time around. Or I should say, not better choices, because you make pretty damn good choices. Make informed choices. All right, we're going to start wrapping up here. So if you've enjoyed what you've heard today, do me a solid and give me a little hearts and give me some thumbs. Go ahead and strike those buttons. And if you enjoyed this, please consider sharing it with somebody else. Invite a friend to listen in. Send it to, it doesn't even have to be a piano teacher or a voice teacher. I think that this is a wonderful conversation to have for any small business owner. So if you enjoyed this today and you'd like to say thanks, Sara, for putting this together, do me a solid and send this to somebody else and pass the message along. All right, so we're going to do our rapid recap here for those who might have just joined. And we're going to go through our 5 points real quick, and then we're going to wrap it all up. I love this, Brandon. Great. I use tree rings with my students all the time, telling them to compare themselves with themselves. It's beautiful. What a great image to share. All right, so here we go. And it's time for our recap. Okay, so what can we learn about our businesses from trees? I love a good metaphor. And, sometimes when we think of the word growth in business, we think of vertical charts. Because I love being outside and I love hiking and communing with nature, I would love to talk about growth in a different way. Growth is not always vertical. It can be vertical, horizontal, combinations of the two that lead into spirals. And, when I think about growth, I think about trees. So here are 5 things that we can learn about growing our business from trees. The first point is not every seed is going to grow everywhere. So we need to know what conditions you need for your business, because you definitely wouldn't plant a palm tree outside in Alaska, would you? Nah. So we need to know what are the conditions that our businesses need. Can we improve the soil? Can we put it in a greenhouse? What are the things that we can change and what are the things that we can't change? Just building some awareness around what we're building. Second item, establish firm roots. This is going to be what allows you to anchor your business. So knowing things like what's your main offer, what's your mission, what's your vision, all of these ideas, what are our main goals, that's going to help us establish firm roots so that when storms come, we can weather those storms. And don't forget that roots are not always alone. Many different types of trees, they actually intertwine their roots together so they create a support system. And this is why I think that networking is so key to what we do as music teachers. Item number 3, grow up, then out. Once we have those firm roots, focus on growing a strong base. Focus on that trunk, the main offer of your business, so that you can bring in the revenue that you need in order to start creating other branches. Because if we try to neglect this and we're trying to grow up and out at the same time, then we're going to topple over. Okay, 4th thing here today. Trees teach us to change with the season. In spring, they teach us that it's time to have new buds, right? That this period of your business where you're going to research and you develop and launch new offers. In the summertime, trees grow like gangbusters, right? And they put out new branches, they put out new leaves. This is the growth that will occur when the conditions are right. In the fall, trees teach us that it's time to change with the seasons so that we can be aware of what's happening seasonally, what are the trends in our market, and that we can shift and take advantage of those trends. In the wintertime, trees teach us that it's time to prepare and that it's okay to scale back and to prune and cut for a new growth season. The 5th thing that we can learn from trees is patience and patterns. It takes time for things to grow. And a strategy that you implement might not bring results in a week or a month or even a year. But if you see small increments of growth and you are patient and you are strategic and figure out new tactics that you can use, growth will happen over time. And don't forget to look at the patterns. Inside that tree trunk, we have different rings. And we can ask ourselves, where did growth occur? Where did we scale back? And then we can dig into the questions about, well, what caused that to happen? And that's going to help us make informed decisions in the future. All right. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed today's broadcast and you want to get a hold of the show notes, if you drop the word tree down below, the Savvy Sara bot will reach out to you and get you all the information from today. So I appreciate you all being here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to my metaphor about business and trees. We will be back next time. And in the meantime, stay savvy and stay you, because you are an amazing music teacher. And there is no teacher in the world who is quite like you. And I think you're pretty dang awesome. Thanks for listening, all. We'll see you next time.